Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast, where we bring you the stories, strategies, and successes of the industry's most elite professionals. Today's guest is a force in luxury real estate. She has over a decade of high-level experience, more than $900 million in career sales. She has led a top-producing teams, consistently surpassed $80 million annual volume, and built a reputation for precision, integrity, and excellence. She's a negotiation-certified relocation expert, real estate coach, and dynamic speaker, known for delivering concierge-level experience to clients in Northeast Florida's most exclusive markets. Think waterfront estates, golf course communities, and luxury urban homes. Now back at eXp Realty, she brings a deep market knowledge, elite client service, a coach's mindset to every transaction. Whether you're scaling your real estate business or refining your luxury approach, her insights are the real deal. Let's welcome Gail DeMarco to the show.
Need a little more enthusiasm there, okay? So some of your numbers are off. You ChatGPT'd me. So my team in California, we had 8 of us, and in 2023 we did...
I'm gonna have you pull that mic. Yeah, pull that mic. I should have set you up there earlier. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Good.
So in 2023 we did $389 million in sales, and I personally did $80 million in sales. Mm-hmm. So, we were lean and mean. I don't believe in big teams because people get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd rather take, if I am going to bring somebody in, they have to really, really be willing to get some scar tissue, battle wounds, and cry at least once a week with me.
Well, as I said, ChatGPT created that intro by reading your bios.
Right.
Coaching was used a couple times in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think that the term, and you made me think, if you're going to bring somebody on your team, someone that you're going to pour into, right. Coachability is key. How do you, is it just instinct for you to feel that someone's coachable, or do you have a couple little testers to see, is this person really going to absorb what I'm going to pour in and want more from me, right. and want to improve?
So I'm kind of a little bit of like... I would say the Navy SEALs, right? So I'm looking for that person, kind of like a Hell's Angel, right? They have a prospect. Somebody's going to hang around and really want to, pay their dues. Because a lot of people they want what you want, but they're not willing to do what you did and what I continue to do, right? Yeah. So they're like, oh my gosh, I want to drive the car you have. I want to live in the house you have. I want to make the money you make. Right. Well, it wasn't always like this.
Right.
I mean, I did a lot. I gave up a lot. I mean... things I wish I didn't give up, like running to my son's graduation at Berkeley, missing him getting his diploma because I was working.
Oh.
Right, stuff like that.
Yeah. Because
I always put my clients first instead of putting God first, family, and then my clients. So now I think I got it right, but I screwed up. I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speak of God, I think He does send us. He sends us down some paths, or He does some things for us to reflect on and obviously change, take another path differently the next time around.
Yep.
He makes us run into that wall of, hey, I made a bad decision. Now I'm going to make a better one in the future because He's leading you to where He wants you to go. Yeah.
And honestly, like my prayer every day is that God puts the right people in front of me at the right time for the right reason.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an agent that is totally broke, right? Or has really been trying, maybe they've had their license 20 years and they're like, I can't get past $5 million a year. That's crazy, right? So, or maybe there's a new agent and they just, start watching Netflix and want to be like, owning Manhattan or selling like Sunset. And,
right.
And they're like, that looks so great. I get to, sell these big, fabulous homes. Well, there's a lot behind the scenes, There's a lot behind the scenes. So when I'm looking for somebody, that wants to grow, is willing to put in the work. Somebody's going to work weekends. I would do at least 4 open houses every weekend for 5 years. Year 5 was the year I broke. I thought I was going to make $1 million, but I only made $989,000. Can you imagine? I was disappointed.
Right.
And I was working at Sotheby's, and I paid them $289,000 or something that year, right? And I never look at the split. Any agent that goes, what's my split? Get out of my office, right? You got to look at the big picture. My first year on a team, I was making 10%. And I was grateful because she was supposedly the top producer making 20 million a year. I thought that was a lot. I was like, 20 million? Now I'm like, that's nothing. I've done that this year, and I've only been here 14. You know, I'm
in a much lower price point market than where you were at.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's like, but I looked at the big picture. Like, I need to be around the Navy SEALs, right? I don't want to be around just people average. And anything in your life, if you're one of those people that, you just settle, it's like, oh, it's okay.
Speak to that. You mentioned something, and we were talking about Katie Spaniak as well, who's with eXp and also has...
I need to meet her.
Yes, we will
Katie.
definitely put you guys together because you both have very large YouTube following. But she mentions, and it's in one of the reels that I cut from her show, is too many new agents are focused on that split. What really should they be evaluating when they're looking for a brokerage or a when they're looking to be around the those people that are going to pour into them, or they're going to be able to pull something out of? What should they be looking for way above the split when they're early in their career?
Well, let's face it. I mean, if you want to be like an Olympic track star, do you think Bruce Jenner just went to the high schools? And he went to Stanford. He went to go find where are the people running at the highest level? Where are the agents performing at the highest level? So when I came here 14 months ago full time, because I did, I'm from California, and I was working in California my first year commuting. I did a SWOT analysis, right? So I do a SWOT analysis, whether I'm doing a paddleboard race or whatever I'm doing in life. I want to know what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what is the opportunity, and what are the threats. And so when I came here to Florida, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody, right? And this is my 13th year in real estate. I started, late in life in real estate. Thank goodness, because this is a, blood-sucking, very, very all-in job. So I'm really glad I didn't do this as a young agent. And I realized, the strengths are, gosh, I have experience because I've sold actually it's $965 million in real estate. And, in California, we don't track new construction. So, we on the MLS, you don't track it. And here, they do, which is kind of cool. But so my strength is, like if you're a doctor, okay, like when I took my first Ponte Vedra beach listing for 2.5, and I've got 2 more now, she asked me, she goes, what have you sold here? And, I could tell she looked me up, and I go, absolutely nothing. Nothing. So I said, I did the
You just
Chris
be blatantly
Voss.
truthful, because if she's looked you up, the last thing you want to do is not tell.
So you do the accusation label, right?
Yeah.
Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, my favorite guy. He wrote the best book. And I said, you must think I'm a terrible agent because I've sold nothing here. I said, but you did tell me that your husband and you were moving to Texas because he is a great heart doctor. Now, if that heart doctor had to come to Mayo Clinic, could he perform the same surgery? Absolutely. I said, I'm that guy.
Great analogy.
I said, so I am, that's my strength. The weakness is I don't know the neighborhoods. I don't know the area. But guess what, people? Math is the path. You just look at the numbers. So I thought, I have to be a buyer's agent. I was like, oh, no. I haven't worked with buyers probably in like 9 years.
Right.
So, and I don't buy Zillow leads because I think that is crap. I designed the business around my life. I'm not going to have my life, run around my business. You pay Zillow leads and you've got to take a shower with the phone by the shower because each phone call could be $400, right? So, the weakness, I didn't know the area and I didn't know anybody, and I had to brand because people buy Zillow leads and they should be spending that money on branding, making a brand. So I knew coming into this, I'm in the business of real estate. I'm not a realtor, okay? I'm a broker. I'm running a business, and most agents don't know how to run a business. So that was my only weakness.
All right, let's because we're kind of going over a couple really great topics here.
Okay.
Let's start with the branding. I just wrote down because you said that, and I think a lot of agents, as you know, you go to these trainings, you go to whether it's a little lunch and learn or you go to a big conference, and you get these people up there, and they're talking at a 30,000 foot level. They're not really I call it rubber meets the road, really giving you the ABCs of what they need to do. So when you say branding and talking to the agents who may be listening to the show right now, whether it's today or 3 years from now, I don't think it's going to change. But from a real estate agent's angle and your experience, when you talk about branding, what are you talking about? What should they be doing, and what should they try to get established?
Absolutely. Your name, right? Like top of mind. I'm going to sell a house. You got to call Gail. You got to call Gail DeMarco. So then branding starts from everything from your signs, those crappy little signs these agents put out here, like with the little wires, and they stick them in the ground, and you can't even read. I mean, my signs cost $200 a piece. They're big white signs. They have my logo on it. I put them out, and people remember that kind of stuff. So it's everything. Like even my open houses, when we walk in, like I'm getting ready for 4 open houses this weekend.
So I have not seen your sign. So I'm just, when you say that, I'm assuming Gail DeMarco is bigger than the eXp logo.
No, we're not allowed to do that. I have to be compliant because I don't want to go to real estate jail, right?
Even your actual name.
Well,
because you're not actually.
And honestly, it's kind of tricky now because I've started a team. I didn't want to start a team because I'm like, I don't want to start a team because then there's less, I have got a lot going on in my life right now.
Yeah.
But when you have as many listings as I have right now, you need people to be at the house, in their houses. And I've found some really, really good agents that I'm working with right now that are doing my open houses. So I want everyone to have, like today, my Fiji water is being delivered, right? So all of my open houses have Fiji water. All of my open houses have like these nice little booklets. When you walk in to one of my open houses, they're all consistent. Right now, we're doing all new signs for the front.
Whether they're a $400,000 home out there or $1 million plus in Ponte Vedra.
And here's the thing: get rid of your ego, right? Number one, because I will treat my $2.5 million home to my $450,000 home exactly the same. Now we weren't doing food; we got out of the whole food thing during COVID and all that. But I'll tell you, I got more listings. I was just telling my team. Through charcuterie boards, right? Even if you bring the whole thing home, when people come in, because who really comes to your open house? Sellers, right? A lot of sellers come to your open houses. Buyers are coming now more because we're the #1 relocation. So branding starts everywhere. So I also do mailers, right? And I'll tell you what, I'm on my 30th transaction in a little tiny community, and it's 427 homes. The average price is $512,000, and that's in Watersong in Rivertown.
Right.
I've sold 64% of the resale.
So
homes
what
there.
your strategy there with the mail outs? So you get a listing. Walk us through the steps.
Yes.
What you're doing.
So no, here's the thing. So I remember when I went to my first listing in Watersong, she said, "What have you sold here?" Same thing, Gail DeMarco, and I just was honest. I go, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm going to get you top dollar. If you give me a break in this community, it's funny because she just got her license and she's going to be working with me in that community. And she, I said, because I went against, a couple other locals and she picked me. So, it's personality. So when people come in, it's, you think that you have to have like all this great collateral. Do you know I don't hardly ever bring anything in with me when I go to a listing presentation. If you went in my office, because we just cleaned my office. Yeah. And we're like, look at these gorgeous presentation books, because, why do I need that? Because it really comes from the confidence. So back to branding. So it's basically, I mail out data reports, because guess what, people? People don't care that you're the top producer. People don't care that I sold almost $1 billion in real estate. People don't care that I have a new listing. You know what they care about? I mean, let's think about this. For the last 5 years, people are like, when can I sell my house? When are the interest rates going to come down? People care about data, okay? And if you tell them what the average days on the market is, what is the average price, and you keep putting that out there and you're consistent. None of you not none of you, a very few of you agents, because figure this out, only 74% of the agents today didn't sell one deal in 2025, not one deal. So if you are consistent, and that's the one thing I am, I'm very, very consistent about everything. So every month, when I go into a listing appointments, I'm sold. I don't even have to, because they see, and that mailer is costing me, you will die when you see it. It's gorgeous, 4-page. I send it to 427 homes. You know, as this community grows, it'll be more. Cost me less than $300 a month. And I'm on my 30.
A 4-page.
4-page.
So it's like a little, almost like a little booklet.
I split it with my lender. So, you know, so his, you know, name and picture and everything on it. And I do give him a lot of business. So, you know, and at the end of the day, if it makes business sense, if it pencils out, so then any lender's going to go in with you, right? I mean, everybody's asking.
That's I'm going to write that down because that's another thing that we should talk about. I'm going to call that. I'll just call it lender relationship.
I would love to talk about that.
But go on your process of
so
setting up the mailer. What are you putting in that mailer? You got a listing in. I guess really from the first houses you did it with, and now it's grown to the 30 that you've sold in there.
I have a couple of different neighborhoods I do, but you know, some of them worked, some of them didn't work, right? And so, I mean, any agent that's out there that wants more information about that, because that could be a whole episode of how you figure out what works and what doesn't work. I have certain data points that I have to hit in certain time points, otherwise I pull it. It's like a stock. People are like, well, you know, a lot of people that you buy shit from, can I say?
Yeah.
Can
it's
I
a
say
podcast.
Shit? Okay.
You say.
Can I say shit? Okay. So a lot of people will sell us a lot of crap, right? And they're like, oh, well, you haven't done it long enough, or you have to keep in. I mean, you don't pull in after 3 months, but I know when to pull out, right? It's because at the end of the day, it's like having a bad stock. Are you going to keep hanging on to, like, I'd never sell my NVIDIA stock, right? I mean, that's life changing. You know, would you sell your Bitcoin? I don't know.
I'm still. I got Facebook at initial public offering, and I still have it.
Yeah. I have my eXp stock, and it's been really, really good for me.
Right.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's like that do all of the Rivertown paraphernalia and coffee cups and towels and all that. So they hired me to sell their house, and they go, Gail, we see you everywhere. How did you do this? We know you've only been here like 14 months,
right,
year and a half. And they said, we see you everywhere, and the things that I really commit to. Now, keep in mind, there's very little I can commit to because I am also a full-time caretaker at nighttime who wakes up every 2 hours for my mother. So, if somebody says their kid, they're doing a fundraiser, like I just had my husband, he's a chef contractor, worked, phenomenal culinary places. I had just had him donate, a dinner for 6, gourmet dinner, and he cooked for everybody, and that cost me $1,000. And then I donated $3,000 to. You have to spend money to make money, right? You have to. If you think you're just going to be a realtor and hand out your business card, you're drill down on you're everywhere. Yeah.
So you are focusing. You got a listing.
YouTube,
you're sending something out to everybody in that subdivision to let them know that, hey, this house is going up for sale, or is for sale, whatever.
No, not really. So basically, what happens is your branding starts with basically I'm a prospector. Okay, so the reason that I've sold, what month is this? This is
September. We're at the end of September.
Okay, so end of September, I've already hit my 20 million mark here in production. So, which means I've made $500,000, right, in less than 2 years here, and I've sold, probably another 20, maybe 26 in California, right? So, because I still have that relationship there, so I'm a referral agent there. But at the end of the day, it's like I can't just come here. Nobody knows you, right? So it's like I had to work on my YouTube, and I stopped working on my YouTube in California because I was too busy. And I didn't want to add more than 8 people to my team. So all of a sudden I started working on my YouTube. So when I walk into a listing appointment and I say, I have 67,000 followers on YouTube, they're like, not many other agents can do that, right? But how did I get that? I had 400 of them less than a year, 12 months ago. I had 400 followers. Well, because it's consistency.
Right.
That's all it is, consistency. Putting out content that is different, that people can relate to. So, people, as long as you're authentic and you're genuine and you don't come off salesy, then people are attracted to you, right? And I only want people who, are like-minded.
So on your YouTube,
Yes.
You've grown it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And obviously you had to, you were doing it out there, so you had a little experience, wasn't you? You weren't starting cold, but you have experience that you knew what you wanted to do with it. What is your, is there a focus of your YouTube channel? Are you focused on the Rivertown area? What are you doing with YouTube that
So
gotten
here's
you
the
that
thing. I
shape?
think a lot of agents make the mistake and they just like ready, aim, fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether, because I call expireds. But I don't call expireds in Queens Harbor. I don't call expireds, in, Volano Beach. I'm very, very focused. I only do PVB, Ponte Vedra Beach for anything over 2 million. And then I will do, because, it's nice to have a couple of those. You get, and I have an amazing partner there because that's a whole nother story. You cannot do a luxury listing without co-listing because you can't be there all the time. So I'm very hyper-focused. So the way I've been able to build my brand is when people see my sign, in a neighborhood of 427, they're like, you sell everything. I'm like, I do? Okay. Like, I just got my 3rd listing in a little community called Oxford Estates, right? The guy called me, goes, it seems like you sell everything here. Because they see your sign, right? And so if you focus on, like, when I first got here, I said, I'm just going to do Rivertown. Well, Rivertown was 3,000 people. It's hard to, we got a lot of agents in Rivertown, a lot of good agents in Rivertown. Not great. There's one, maybe 2. But, at the end of the day, it's like, so I'd rather be in a concentrated area and really know it, right? Because guess what? Time is people don't realize your most valuable commodity is your time. That is your most valuable commodity. Because if you put a price on it, I make $1,200 an hour just when I prospect. Why in the world would I want to go have lunch with you? So, or, if you want anything with me, it's going to be early in the morning. I have had a couple agents reach out to me and they wanted to meet with me. And I said, okay, what time? Well, I have Pilates at 11. I'm like, we don't want to meet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have a calendar dialed in. I'm not taking you from baby steps.
Yeah.
So I want to work with adults, people that are focused, because the reality is, and this, people are struggling right now. And if I'm coaching somebody, and any agent that works with me and my team, I'm coaching them. And if anybody, and I coach, I have probably maybe 12, right now I have 12 coaching clients. And the first thing I say is, how much do you have in your bank? Well, why do you need to know that? I said, because I need to know your pain. I need to know where you're at, how much you have for your retirement. If you don't have, at least 6 months saved, you're in deep shit right now, right? If you don't have money for your retirement, you're in deep shit. So, and I love that, because then I can go deep and I can help you and I can say, this is what you have to do.
Right.
So branding has to do with coming in, like our first team meeting was only like a month ago. We have 4 girls and a guy, and he came in and he's kind of cute. He was one of the husbands, and he came in with shorts and kind of, his man bun and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at him, I go, that cannot happen when you're going to any of my open houses, or if I'm going on a listing appointment, because I do a lot of co-listings with my agents, you've got to fix that up, because guess what? For women, we cannot look too sexy. We cannot have our boobs hanging out. We cannot have our legs hanging out, because most of the people that are selling in this market are going through a divorce, okay? And they won't tell you at first. I can sniff it out immediately, because I have a lot of divorce attorneys that refer me.
Yeah.
And I can, or they have debt, okay? And why do people sell in this market? They have to, all right? So when you come in looking like, the bombshell, and meanwhile, the wife is always front, but your sorry wives, you just kind of lose it after the wedding. It's like, or it's like, what happened? And the husbands, they're usually high level. I like to deal, even if my retirees are high level people. And when I say that, I don't deal with first time home buyers. I'm sorry, it's not my niche, right? I like the over 55 because they're cash, most of them. And then I like my luxury because they're cash, and they don't care about interest rates. So that's when I was saying with my SWOT analysis, right? So it's like your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunity. Opportunity is we're the #1 school district. Well, maybe #3 now. And this is the best place to sell. If you knew how hard it was to sell real estate in California, I mean, you have to be on your game. There is no time to play. And here, I mean, but I made consistently. I've been in real estate. This is my 13th year. Consistently, I've made $1 million a year, right, since year 5. So at the end of the year, but not last year, and this year I will not make $1 million, right? But I'm okay because my expenses are less. And guess what? I have money in the bank, and I don't have a mortgage.
So when you just made that gesture about selling, because especially because the price point that you're selling at is considerably higher too. It's the bigger sharks are coming in the town. So the
all
level.
The bigger sharks were on my team.
Yeah, and you were mentioning earlier before the show you were in the Silicon Valley area, and that's just some of your clients, and you get bigger ticket, bigger sharks. Mm-hmm. Here, you're kind of at that mid-level price point home. I mean, you can go over the west side and get $200,000 homes if you want, or obviously, I think you're a big sale. If you sold a $10 million house here, you're like on some sort of record board somewhere,
right.
So, type of thing. Yeah. Where the agents here are, well, because the Florida lifestyle has a tendency to be a little more relaxed and so forth. But what you're saying
problem.
is your model, your ideology is you need to be that neutral. If you are a very attractive woman, just dress professionally and so forth. You don't have to, because you don't know who you're running into, and you don't know what's in their mind. Because that professional that you were gesturing, he doesn't want to necessarily do business with the Barbie bimbo type look, because he's doing business.
Right.
Pleasure. Now, he may go out with Barbie bimbo after hours, but during hours, he's doing business, and he doesn't want to deal with someone who could cause a conflict in his life.
Well, at the end of the day, it's like, your first impression is the only impression that they remember. So I remember going on this listing appointment. We were all wanted it so bad. There was 8. I was the 8th interview, the 8th. And they called me 3 days later, and I was going against some of my best friends from KW or Coldwell Banker. They had gone up for the interview too, and they had a way bigger, this was a little bit earlier in my career, way better track record than I did. And I'm, once we got everything signed, I said, I was just kind of curious. Why did you decide to go with me? So they said, well, Gail, number one, you came in, you're very confident. You act like you let us do the talking. Everybody else did all the talking. Mm-hmm. And we felt like you heard us, but more importantly, I knew my husband wasn't going to hit on you. I go, so I was the less attractive one? I go, I'll go with that.
Well, thanks.
Okay. I could go with that all day long, because you know what? At the end of the day, it's all about just getting your clients a result and letting them move on their way and getting that big fat check. Yeah. Right? So it's like, so it kills me when people go, well, they're a pain in the ass, or I don't want to work with that. I'm like, I get paid a lot of money to work with difficult people, because, it's a difficult time in their life. Yeah. So, at the end of the day.
You bring up an interesting point there when going in, whether you're on a listing appointment or a buyer's consultation. And it's not the first, for obviously other top agents that I've had on the show have mentioned this, but something that I think everyone needs to do is, of course, there's that saying, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? So you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. Right. And so someone who goes into one of those appointments who's not confident might have a tendency to actually try to, we call it
I used to do
verbal diarrhea, just keep talking, trying to hopefully convince them that you know what you're talking about, versus actually just being, put a question out there or a statement out there and then sit back and let's see what happens and listen.
So because we get uncomfortable when there's silence, right? A lot of people don't, some people don't talk a lot. Like my engineers and doctors, they just want to know, what can we sell the house for? So number one, if you're not confident, you need to either join a team or work with somebody like me who is confident and go on the listing appointment with us, right? Because anybody can get a listing appointment, but actually, getting them to sign it and then selling it, that's a whole different ball game, right? Mm-hmm. So people are like, oh, I just, I got these listings. Well, guess what? I built my business around these people in our community that couldn't sell these homes. I'm the second wife. I got treated better. Mm-hmm. They listened to me. So, at the end of the day, it's like I remember working for he's actually one of my very best friends. I got him to purchase not one, but 3 Sotheby's. And he was the luxury agent in Sacramento, because I'm actually from the Sacramento area. So all the buyers from Silicon Valley would come up to Sacramento. And I was his very first agent. I just caught him at a good time. I begged him, when you talk about how do you find an agent? I can't find another me. And this is what I said to him. Beautiful, just a great, great guy. I said, hey, when was the last time you went on a vacation? He goes, I haven't been. He goes, my wife's in Egypt right now. I said, if you work with me, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take your car to the car wash. Your car will never be dirty. I will take your clothes to the dry cleaners. I will take your dog to the vet. He goes, I don't have a dog. I bought him a Yorkie. So then I said, I will pretty much be your bitch, right? I will do anything you need. All I ask, is that you mentor me. That's it.
Yeah.
And he never said, hey, Gail, let's go on this $2 million listing. The people are going to be really nice and they're going to be really reasonable. So at the end of the day, I said to him, I go, how come I bring you on all the listings, Nick, and you never bring me on any of yours? And he goes, oh, it's okay. So I go, I know you enough. You're not telling me. I go, what am I doing wrong? I said, just tell me why I don't go on your listings. So he said, well, you talk too much. I said, I can fix that if you just tell me. So now I have a commitment to anybody who works with me. I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you don't like it, and I tell people, this is our first team meeting last month. I said, if you're offended that I'm going to pray because I love Jesus, there's the door. If you're offended that I'm going to tell you you're not dressed professionally, there's the door. And if you're offended when I give you constructive criticism after a listing appointment or you're working with a client, you need to go. If you're not willing to build some scar tissue and get some battle wounds, that's the only way you can stand on your own 2 feet. My goal is kind of like, I don't really want people on my team more than 2 years, because if I can't teach you in 2 years, I'm failing you. Right? So at the end of the day, unless you want to be, a serial team member, that's fine. Because you know what is really disheartening here that I found out? I'm blown away. The team leaders here, they put everything under their name. They don't put their co-listing agent's name on the MLS after they close. Shame on you people. That is wrong. Okay, because like I just had a very well-known agent I'm doing a deal with. We're closing at the end of this month from Ponte Vedra. She sent me an email, oh, please take off, I think her name is Amanda, I can say that. Take off her name off of the, on the MLS and just put under mine. I'm like, why would we do that? And then I just realized one of the girls that came over from Coldwell Banker, she was on another girl's team that I think, and I don't care, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Some girl Stacy's team, right? And she'd sold over $7 million. And as soon as she left, they flipped them over to the team leader's name. That is BS. That is complete bullshit, because if you're on a team, you're supposed to be building up your team members. It's not a competition, right? You're supposed to lead them, mentor them, and you should give more than you want to take.
The thought that comes to my head when you're explaining this, especially if you've taken someone on your team, as you mentioned earlier, you've already gone through this pre-screening that they're coachable, and you're willing. You're not bringing in someone who is that you have any inclination it's going to be an issue of whatever that issue may be. So now when you are giving them, and a lot of people would call it tough love,
right?
Us old school individuals would look at a true friend is going to tell you when you have pie on your face. That's Dan Gilbert from when I worked at Quicken Loans. Whatever billions of dollars he's worth, millions of dollars he's worth these days. That's what a true friend does. And you say, hey, you want to be on my team? Great. I want you to be on my team. I like you. I think you're going to do great. You're coachable. But when I tell you you have pie on your face, you need to take action.
Right.
Type of thing. And to go back to your conversation going into that listing appointment and said that you talk too much, well, he should have pre-gamed you before you go in anyway. Say, hey, I'm going to go in. I am the lead. This is my listing.
Right.
You are here. don't interrupt. If I feel it's an opportunity for you to strengthen the talk, I'm going to turn to you and say, hey, Gail, what do you think? Or whatever, type of thing. And you've just got to have those conversations because you wanted to be there. You wanted to learn from him, but he had this preconception that you were going to interrupt him and make him look bad. Well, he should have just come out and told you.
Right.
This is my thing, and this is how we're going to run it.
The reason on Instagram my handle is Relentless Realtor is I'm a huge fan of Tim Grover. He was Kobe Bryant's coach, right? And if you could tell Kobe Bryant what he's doing wrong, okay, and all these other athletes, why can't, we are athletes, right? At the end of the day, I am not a realtor. I'm in the business of real estate, and I'm trying to make a great living. I don't want to make an ordinary living. Why would I do this? Why would I take this kind of abuse? Right. Why would I give up my weekends?
Right.
I want to make a shitload of money, right? And I want everyone on my team to make more money than me. That is my goal, and my goal in California worked. All of my team members, and one of them is now selling in Newport Beach. The other one is he made $80,000 a year when he came to me. He was 27 years old. He's actually going on a mission trip with his wife to Uganda in March. And year 3, he was making $500,000 a year with me, right? And now he's making that plus more because I showed him. He was constantly cracking his knuckles and rocking. And I'm like, stop it, stop it.
Right.
And I have another guy touching his beard. I'm like, that is like weird shit, okay? Like, that just knock it off. And if I don't tell you,
there is a psychology that I think that must be like a nervousness thing. He's stroking his beard is it's kind of like women playing with their hair. Because they're nervous or attracted to the.
If you're showing that, if I can tell you, do you think the listing? They're not going to get the listing. They're going to think
subliminally they're picking it up.
Right. So
they may not be actually focused on it, but yeah, you're right.
Right. So if and that really does bug me about the team leaders because when I first came here, my advice as a coach is join a team, see what they're doing, see if you could add value. I used to love being behind the scenes. I still love being behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, it's like I couldn't find a team that I could really say, wow, they're badass.
To evaluate the whole the team thing, and I think your attitude towards it, which I agree with you. You're confident. You've poured into these people.
Right.
Their numbers now. People come and go. Some people have been on your team and they decide to go somewhere else, or whatever it is. Just like people have come to your team that come from somewhere else.
Leave the door open and bless them. Don't try to torture them.
Exactly, because you are a woman of faith. You're giving to them. You're giving them value, and hopefully, and someday it'll come back to you in return in one way, shape, or form. We don't know. It could be tomorrow. It could be on your last day of your last breath. We don't know.
Right, 100%.
Yeah. So
life's too short. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Get over your ego. If you're providing enough leads, and mentoring with them, they're going to make you money. You don't need to take away, so when they leave, it looks like they sold nothing. That's crazy.
All right. Have you ever read Grit by Angela Duckworth?
Maybe. I have to look at my Audible book. I have over 2.
Yeah, if you haven't, Grit. But so one of these days when I do write a book of all these transcripts that I have from these shows, obviously real estate agents have a level of grit. To get where they're. In working on a talk to go along with that, I call it the LLC. I think everyone should have an LLC. They have to have an LLC to be successful.
Right.
And that is love, laughter, and then C is the consistency. That's my LLC of a real estate agent's grit in my definition. Tell us why you love real estate.
Who said that? I love what the life it can afford me.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a really good question. I love results, and I love when I'm able, because let's face it, right now, more than ever, people are in tough spots. And when you're dealing in over 55, and I never thought I was going to be the queen of, the over 55 niche. So, and the reason I really focused on that is because the interest rates. I'm like, these people have cash, and so do luxury people. And I really fell in love with these people. And my mother, who's in the hospital, like right now, I'm going to be leaving to go see her. I'm around a lot of older people, and I could really, I'm kind of like if you go to a funeral director, right? I'm trying to help them, because it's a tough time in their life, and for their kids, for them. And at the end of the day, it's like we have to fill the gap. Okay, this is what we're doing with every transaction right now, because more deals are going down the tubes. So, and it's with empathy. It's not just with price or with terms. It's like trying to figure out how can we come together, because the reason all apart is, number one, we're pricing them right. Number two, we're marketing them right. And number three, I don't just go into contract. Like, I had this one guy just wanting to write a deal in one of my houses, and he was coming in $65,000 lower, and I was trying to help him, but he was kind of an asshole. So, and I just said, I said, don't waste my time, right? Don't waste my time. So he actually called me later and said, I want to thank you, because my clients, I don't like it just from my sellers and buyers, but I like helping the other agents. I love making a little bit of a difference, because this is a boring industry, very boring. If you don't have fun, if you don't make money, if you don't make your clients happy, this could be, you might as well be an oncologist, right? So it's like, I love real estate because it's the marketing. It has a whole bunch of stuff. I got into it. I didn't never want to get into real estate. I mean,
Right.
that was like the worst thing you could have. I always said, you might as well go become a librarian. So, no.
Well, so it sounds like you actually love the process, the battle, the negotiations, obviously, because
Yes.
you feel you're representing someone who's looking up to you, because you're the
Right.
expert in your guidance. You just love the whole circle of it.
It's kind of like being an attorney. My father was an attorney for over 45 years, and so it's like, I do love the negotiation. That is like, bring it. I hate, when my seller's like, I'm not going to respond. I'm like, oh no. I can get people up $100,000. I'm very good at that, right? In the higher price points.
Right.
So, obviously not for the smaller ones, but at the end of the day, some people, it's like a Match.com deal. I want them out of my life in 30 days. Out, go,
Right.
right? Where, some people I just want to wish they weren't moving. So what other business with your clothes on can you make $1 million a year?
Right.
And you only have to work 5 days a week,
Right.
really consistently.
Without being a doctor or anything like that, without having all this school. Yeah.
This or OnlyFans, and I'm too old for OnlyFans, right? So it's like, let's face it. I mean, life happens. And
All right. So the laughter part, that was the love. The laughter part is a little. I have to explain a little bit, because I believe in my life, the points of time where I needed grit, or I've had setbacks where we've worked through.
Right.
Now we laugh about. Right. We gotten
Sure.
older. We can look back in the whatever with stupid things we've done, bad decisions we made, a bad deal that's gone awry. Tell us about a situation or a transaction what you've had that really kind of challenged your grit in real estate, to a point where maybe you were ready to say, this is not for me, but you brought it back in, you fought through that deal, got it done, whatever it was, and now today at cocktail parties you joke about it.
There's so many of them.
I know. Just pick one. Tell us one that really brought you to your knees, though. I mean, really, that just am I really doing the right thing here? Should I be in real estate?
Well, all right, and this one doesn't have a happy ending.
Okay.
They're not all happy endings. So as a matter of fact, this deal just, I just let it expire. So it's a divorce. And, okay, you're going to hear it. So my neighbor calls me and says that, she has a referral for me. I'm like, okay, great. This is wonderful. I really appreciate that. And they, so I go over there.
But, did you say but?
So I'm going to just give you the Reader's Digest. So I go over there, list the house, and I should have known better, because it was on the market for 6 months with another agent. God bless him. I get the listing. I get him to come down a couple $100,000, because it's a production Toll Brothers home. And it's a nasty divorce. Well, she doesn't tell me the reason they're getting divorced is because she's having an affair with his wife. Okay, so it's like, yeah, right. So that's right.
Whoa, hold on a second. So is your neighbor a male or female? The referral.
A female.
The female referred
Yes.
this, and the husband of the seller is having
Yes.
the affair with her.
No, the wife. Two wives are having affairs. Wives.
Oh my God.
You don't know about that?
Okay.
I have a gay daughter. You don't know about that? Come on. It's like,
all right. Go ahead.
So,
I'm just sorry.
right. So I find this out in the middle of the transaction. Meanwhile, they're, from a different culture that is very, very, how do you say it, conservative. So there a lot of side fighting, like side texting. I'm like, I can't side text, just a lot of this crap. So the day before we're going on the market, I get a phone call, and she says, I have something to tell you. I'm like, okay, great, what? He stole all the staging. I said, he stole all the staging, right? So he went in there. Well, he actually moved back in for, 4 months, then left all the stuff in there, maggots, everything. He's left all the food, maggots, everything, and stole all the staging. Okay, and this is in $1 million home. So then, okay, great. So they get it all cleaned up, get ready to get back on the market 6 months later, okay? And the day before, she calls me and says, well, I have something to tell you. I'm like,
Oh my God.
What? And I'm like, you're getting back with your husband? That would be great.
Yeah.
Whatever. The staging is gone. I go, what do you mean? She goes, I called the staging company because, he owed the money. And they came and took all the staging. So then now the staging company stole the took all their staging.
So it wasn't stolen. It was just returned.
So anyway, long story short, sometimes you just can't please people.
Yeah.
And I was going to, if I tell you the open houses, we did get some opportunities. It's never really a loss, right? Because you're going to meet somebody somewhere. Maybe you're not selling that house. You're meeting another agent. You meet another buyer. But that whole thing was, I could not wait to get rid of them, and I didn't even care that I didn't sell it, because the energy it takes out. And that's what I want to tell you people.
Yeah.
When something isn't good, this was just something that happened, just happened last week. I've had tons others where, I accidentally let all the birds out, they were
Oh, no.
15 very high-end birds. I didn't know. I opened it up and didn't shut the door, and they all came out, and...
it's one thing to be worried about letting the cat out, but letting 15 birds, oh, God.
Yeah, this is another almost $3 million home, but things like crazy things, have happened. But we've all got them, and I don't have a cocktail. You didn't give me a cocktail. You give me water. So I would tell you everything.
Well, it's still before noon.
5 o'clock somewhere.
All right. Share something that you believe in, and maybe something you evolved to, but something maybe you've done from the very beginning. You learned from that gentleman you were talking about that you were catering to mentor you, but something you believe you do consistently that moves the needle in your business.
Yeah, I'm very consistent about making the market rather than waiting for the market. So if I don't have at least, like right now, I think I have I have 5 listings, but I always have 6 pending. Mm-hmm. So my formula is 7 listings, 7 pending, 7 sold. I like 21 is my number. And, I took 12 listings in 1 week. When was it? I think it was April.
Yeah.
10 listings 12 in 1 week. And I was putting all the signs at my assistant. I have the same assistant for 11 years full time. So she's been with me. And here's the other thing. I actually have 3 assistants. Right? Because people are like, how can you afford that? I know. Because at the end of the day, I look at my net, okay? And I know what my numbers are. Most people, if you don't know your numbers, I have spreadsheets on everything. I have spreadsheets, and not because of me, but because I'm paying somebody to make it.
To help track that for you.
If you don't track it, it's not measurable, and then you can't move forward. So at the end of the day, it's like you have to delegate to elevate, right? So that would be my thing. If you think, like right now, letting go of half, putting people on my listings, paying somebody $9,000, right, out of a deal, or $10,000 or $7,000. You can't look at it that way. You have to look at that opens you up to create more. If you don't give, you can't receive. It's like you can't just go to church and not tithe, right? So it's like you have to just trust God, right? Trust God that He's got a better plan and He knows what's best for you. Because if you even knew all the stuff that I have to deal with at night, right? It's like you know, it's incredible. I had my assistant in my office yesterday. I just hired another one for boots on the ground. She goes, I don't know how you do this all. And she's only 22. Mm-hmm. And I said, get ready. I go, because this is all manageable, and this is going to be you. And I want this to become you. And so many people accept, you know, mediocrity, or they're like, oh my God, if I could just do one deal. I just want you to think bigger, because you've got to get in the right room. If you are in a room where people are like, yeah, the market sucks, and people are so worried about paying $500 per transaction, you get nothing. What are you getting? I would rather give 75% away, 50% away, 20. Give it away to get something. If you're not in a room where they're going to move you forward, if you're in real estate and you've been in here 5 years and you're not making $500,000 a year, you need to call me, because you're doing something wrong.
Well, do you feel there's huge? They don't know what they don't know. So when you say, you need to, hang out with these people, or the dedication you gave this person because you wanted to learn from that gentleman out in California, and you were willing to take his, dry cleaning or whatever, all this stuff, you realized what he knew and what you wanted to know from him, right? Do you think a lot of agents, which I think is obvious, a lot of agents, they don't know what they don't know, so they don't know what that, someone like you knows right now and can actually are willing to give them. Sure. They don't know, so they're like, well, I don't want to, give you any more. I'll just go over here to my, $500 split or my what do you call them, cloud brokerage or whatever, the minimum split. Yet they haven't even sold a house yet.
Right.
They haven't. They know nothing about the business.
That is like the biggest mistake. I've had probably over 30 people reach out to me this week and say, how did you have dinner with Ryan Serhant? Mm-hmm. I was invited to a private dinner with him last week, and there was 30 of us, and he came up and hugged me and, just like said some really nice things about me. You develop those relationships. I'm always telling people, get in the right room, right? And believe me, I wasn't going to go. I had to leave a day early. And then I was invited to another party because my mom's sick,
right. Yeah.
And so it's like, you have to put yourself in the right room, because you are a product of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And my number one is my accountant, right? From day one. You know how many agents? I have agents I'm working with right now that have not paid their taxes in 2 years. So it's your accountant, and I have a coach. I have a very expensive coach. So, just they're like, well, why are you coaching? Why do you have a coach? Why would you pay that money? You're a coach. Because how do you think I get better? Athletes always have like 4 or 5 coaches, or so.
They always there are always examples. Tom Brady had multiple coaches. I'm 100%. Sure Ryan has a coach.
I've spent over $500,000 on coaches, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, Ryan has a very incredible coach. Ryan's one of my coaches, right? I learn a lot from him. Mm-hmm. So I've developed so many great relationships. And I don't have time for a lot of friends. You will not see me at the River Club on a Friday night having a drink like my husband goes every Friday night. He's like, that's not where I really spend my time. I like drinking in a dark room. Just expand your mind. When you sit in a room and you're like, I remember when my first job, in real estate, and my broker said, well, I can't go with you on weekend because I promised Elizabeth if I made that's his wife, if I made $25,000 a month, that I wouldn't work nights or weekends. I'm like, you make $25,000 a month?
And don't work nights and weekends?
I said, you make $25,000 a month? Yeah. And, in July, I usually take July off. I made $100,000 this July, right? In that 1 month. And I never thought I could make $25,000. And then I'm consistently making a lot more, right?
Right.
So you don't know what you don't know. Put yourself in a bigger room. You are more than capable. You just have to be consistent and do the right things.
I want to get into a little bit. I think it's something I talk about a lot on the show, but I think you've brought it up quite a few times, and I think this is a hot point for you. You truly believe in it, and obviously probably worked through some trials and errors on it.
Right.
Is that agent that the $5 million we were talking earlier? There's agents around here, they hit $5-6 million and they're like
they're tapped
out. Yeah. I call it hitting the lid. Yeah, I call it hitting the lid. At what point did you realize when you started, you were working on that you started to hire these assistants, but let's keep it on the level of the agents that we're talking, that 5
Sure.
to 10 million, where they're really hitting the lid, what they need to do, what they need to evaluate, what things they need to start drawing the line and start letting someone else do, so they can really start to get to that next level.
I love you said that, because I just had another conversation with my assistant. She's like, I want you to look at the new listing presentation. I'm like, why? I want you to like give me the okay for, this template, this flyer. Why? If it's not income producing, you shouldn't be doing it. Okay? So at the end of the day, like, I've always had a TC, always. So when I first got here to Florida, I said, because I wasn't, I'm a broker in California and not a broker here, I knew every form. I could advise people. I had 180 people in my office that would come to me. So here, I said, how much you charge? She said $350. I said, I'll pay you $1,000 a file. I said, keep me out of real estate jail. I said, because I don't know, what is passive contingencies? You don't have demand. So you have to delegate to elevate. So get rid of that. If you're spending a bunch of time like learning in all these modules online, get the frick off the computer and get your butt. Find an open house, even if it's vacant, and do it on a Thursday night or Wednesday night. This is a contact sport. You need to be out there. You need to be talking. It's like, talk about real estate. And I'm in a role play group, every morning. Well, I don't do it every single morning, but it's called the Breakfast Club, and we're role playing, and some of the agents on my team are like, oh, they're kind of hardcore. I go, it's objection handling. This business is objection handling. Right? Because all we have is objections, whether you're a buyer or seller. You need to know how to navigate that conversation. I think people are crazy not to buy now. I think they're absolutely nuts. I actually call my lender to get me pre-qualified because I'm waiting for, a deal in a certain neighborhood. But at the end of the day, you're not fighting. You're not paying $50,000 more. You're paying a little bit more in interest. So what? Wait until, I think we're going to get really busy in spring. I'm getting ready to that's why I'm amping up. So when you say what agents shouldn't be doing, you're saying, I have no money. I can't afford an assistant. I can't afford this. You should absolutely, if you can't afford a TC you pay when they close, go get a job. Right? Just be real. This is
because they're pay for play. The $350 is on average. I'm sure it goes up and down somewhere between there. But it's the cost of doing business. So
Right.
figure out your taxes. That way, it's like, hey, I made this 1099. I gotta.
Can I tell you?
I gotta take my expenses out.
The agents I'm talking to that can't pay their taxes, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me because they see all my open houses, they see my production, and they're all on these Zillow Flex leads. They're making like 23%.
Right.
And they're running around for months with these buyers. How does that make? I was offered the Zillow Flex account in California. I was like, absolutely not. Why would I want to pay my agents 23%, give Zillow their 40%, and then have them not available for my own clients? That's why it's important to create your own business.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to fish, right? I am all about branding, making the market, not joining a team so I could go after some crappy leads.
So I want to go over a couple points here because from a time-wise, I know you got to go.
I know, I got to go.
The transaction coordinator.
Yes.
Right away. And there's plenty of pay for
100%.
play. I had one on recently, which I talked to when we'll mention Core Ops Collective, and there's another one in town with Samantha Cox has a team as well. They're pay for play. So if you don't do any business, you're not paying anything. But they just, I think people think they can do it better, but really, my processors are the ones that make me, because they do a lot of the communication. Right. They're sending out the email saying, "Hey guys, 100%. This is where we're at." Yep. So they're missing out and really showing. Starting to get into assistance.
Right.
Like, I guess, are they taking a lot of your marketing type stuff, getting those postcards mailed out to the neighborhood, that sort of stuff?
100%. So basically, of course it was scary for me when I came out here, and now I'm not slinging my big team in California, because I actually had to just say I'm going to be a referral agent now, because I cannot give them the process. To keep my assistant on, and it is not cheap. She makes great money, right? So to keep her on when I had no business, for the 6 months, but I knew that if I just stopped my systems, because everything is a system, and all my systems come from my failures. Every time I get spanked or have to pay something, I'm like, right now, I have a brand new disclosure. You are advised not to move until all contingencies removed, and then even then, the deal can fall through. Because I just gave a guy, he didn't ask, well, he roundabout asked me for a $6,000 check because he had to go to an Airbnb, and I go, I never told you to move. It fell out, right? And so, but because
to move out of the house he was selling.
Right. He moved into an Airbnb in Kentucky, and then the house fell through. I did give him $6,000. I gave him, I just said, I'm going to do it. Because he was suicidal, right? And I can always, but anyway, you've got to delegate. So the flyers. My God, if you're like, I could push a button and get a flyer at an eXp, or most brokerages could do that. You're spending too much time trying to learn online. You're spending too much time trying to make a flyer. Too much time taking any open house. Only take open houses. Claim a neighborhood, claim an area, and don't be everywhere. Don't be in Clay County, don't be in Duval County, don't be in St. Johns County, because you're just going to get tired fast, you're going to burn out, you're not going to make any money, and you're going to get out of real estate.
Yeah. I think, well, yeah, I'm sure you know Krista Mashore. Yeah, and she's a big fan, and I've actually sat on her little 2-day intro class to kind of lead her into her bigger thing and what she was doing, because I had her on the show.
Right.
So I wanted to learn a little bit about what is she actually doing there.
Sure.
And she's the way she says, she's hyper focused. She's got her 3, 4, 5 subdivisions, and I think her brother runs her more of her real estate side because she's doing the thing. But she's super hyper focused in the way you when you were mentioning earlier, the client was saying you're everywhere. Well, I'm sure in Krista's neighborhood she's working, they believe the same thing,
right?
Because her sign's up on a lot somewhere in that neighborhood at any given time, multiple places, and they're getting the postcards and so forth on a regular basis saying I'm the expert for your neighborhood.
Right. Even when you don't have a deal, you can't pull back on the marketing. If you just stay consistent, whether it's one little neighborhood and I say just pick 100 names. If you spend $300 a month. If you don't have $300 a month to spend, you need to get a part-time job. Yeah. You do.
Yeah.
So.
Finish up with just a couple. Well, I guess we'll just make a statement. You seem to be very. When you were saying there, when this is a good time to buy a home, because anytime someone asks you when's a good time to buy a home, was like 2 years ago. So you want to enter that 2-year thing. Now's the time. 100%. I mean, the markets are going to shift. Now, I think what our problem is, we have a lot of people that want to buy homes that are outside their means. And so they're like, oh, I want to buy that $1 million home, when really they're a $600,000 home person. Or they could have bought the $1 million home, 4 years ago when rates were 3%.
That's the problem.
Yeah. And it is a challenge. I think also, if you could make, because you're doing enough deals, you're creating deals right now, because not everything is cookie cutter. Not everyone, where the down payments are coming from. What do you do to help facilitate deals that other agents are probably just passing on because they don't know how to solve it? Whether it's coming up with financing, all those type of things. What have you learned over the years?
Well, there's 2 things that I'm doing. One, I'm just closing my first one next week, in a few days. When I'm talking to sellers, when I'm prospecting, I'm finding out, do you have an assumable loan, right? And they're like, well, no, I'm not a VA. Doesn't matter. You may have an assumable loan. So I'm closing one right now with New Res, and it went so smooth. And I had one with Chase, and we decided the buyer kind of got antsy after 3 months and decided just to go traditional. So that is an option to find out, to have that conversation. They may not go that route, but do you know that, I would say 50% of the loans are assumable. So people just don't read the fine print, because all you do is sign. So if you could advertise assumable loan, but you're willing to take the risk of having it a 6-month close on it, then great. So it doesn't always work, but at least it opens up a conversation for that. The other thing is, I'm talking to my lender right now. We're doing where, if the seller gives, a certain amount, and then he gives a certain amount, and then I kick in a little bit, they can get a 5.75% interest rate, right? Then you can advertise it like that.
Right.
So that, because we're competing with the builders. Everybody knows our biggest competitor are the builders. Madame is giving $27,000 to $36,000 for closing costs. Golf carts, if they don't want the golf cart, you get $8,500. So how do you compete? Well, today I'm going on a listing appointment, and they call me now, right? So I'm going on this listing appointment in Rivertown, and my assistant just called me right before I got here. She goes, guess what? They have a pool. Yay, builder can't compete. Right?
Yeah.
So those kind of things, I'm saying no. Like I went on a listing appointment yesterday, and I told her this. She wanted $500. She goes $490. I'm putting an offer on a Lennar home. I said I'm not your girl, and she said why not? I said because I could never on a good day get more than $450 for this. Mm-hmm. So say no to the bad deals because she
just take up time and energy.
I don't have time to sit at your ugly house. I only like pretty things. Right?
You've mentioned your lender. This is going to be the last subject. Yeah. You've mentioned your lender several times, and you just said something that is so vital that I think is important that obviously you see. Yeah. Too many agents are bouncing around, oh, this lender took me out to lunch, whatever, but they've only been in the business. If you're in retail, if you've been out schlepping to real estate agents, and if you've only been in the business 3 years, you haven't done enough deals.
Right.
I've personally been in the business 20 years. The first 14 were with in the call center. I've done when it comes to doing paperwork and getting deals closed, FHA, VA, structuring, whatever. It bores me to put the loan in there, but I still do it 20 years later because I've done it so many times, and I can do it on a rapid fire and talk to your clients on the phone because that's how I started doing the business, was literally over the phone. But you said you reached out to your lender. So how can we advertise this listing better? So
I'll show you the text.
Yeah.
I just texted it to him.
And he did the math for you and say, okay, well, we need this much money to offer that interest rate.
Instead of doing a $25,000 reduction, do a $25,000 credit, right? Then he does the 1%. I give $5,000 or whatever the number is. You're still going to get a $17,000 check at the end of the. Would you rather have it now or maybe 6 months from now, or maybe have it expire?
Yeah.
Right. So get creative and talk to your lender.
Because if you think rate is the problem, then focus on how can we play with that? Because you are competing against the builders, and you were mentioning earlier that Toll Brothers. So there's so many people trying to sell their house, and they're still building in the same neighborhood. That's like pull your hair out on those. Yeah, if you're not the lowest price house, then you're probably not going to.
It's hard to be a listing agent in this market if you're not completely truthful and you tell them. And how do you know what they're doing? I sell new homes too, so I have great relationships with the new home builders, and I get a weekly report on what
Finish just with the statement: your relationship with your lender. To build a relationship, stop bouncing around, sit down with them and strategize. What can you do? Go to their office, sit down and say, hey, I've got these listings. How can we do? Because I don't think enough agents are doing that kind of strategizing 100%. With them. They're too busy going out and having a lunch with a loan officer that hasn't done a half a dozen deals in their life.
So my 5 people, my accountant, my lender. So when I came here, I was like, I was so freaked out because I'm like, what lender can I? Because they were kind of cocky, the ones I talked to be honest. So I made my California one get licensed, but that almost didn't work out because of the time difference.
Right.
The 3-hour time difference. Normally, when he's at the gym at 6, it's 9 o'clock, and
you're ready to get going.
Don't call me after 6 o'clock because I'm already, I just don't answer my phone after 6 o'clock.
Right.
Except for you, I called you
last night.
Like, what appointment? What podcast? Who are you? No. But at the end of the day, that's so important because we had a process in California that I loved, and for every listing, we'd say seller would like the buyer to be cross-qualified because you can get in trouble with the DRE board. If you say pre-qualified, because Lennar does it, Toll Brothers does it, Madame does it. You have to go. You don't have to use their lender, but you have to get qualified. Why did they do that? Because they don't want the deal to fall out.
Yeah, they want to know the inside workings.
But here, because it's a buyer's market, we can't do that, right? So we really need to vet that lender. And if I see Navy Federal, I'm like, oh shit. And I have 2 Navy boys, right? Because they don't answer the phone after 5. If I see Wells Fargo, I'm like, oh crap. And I always tell people,
or Bank of America.
You do not. Is that even around here?
Yeah, exactly. So, they avoid doing mortgages.
I love brokers. I love that because that is the most important part. Your home inspector and your lender for any deal.
Yeah.
No.
100%.
So, well, that's good to know about you.
Yep. I appreciate it. Gail, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
I think I'd love to possibly round about with you in it maybe within the year and get caught up. I want to learn more about your YouTube channel.
Sure.
And that because
I've
I
taught
think
people about YouTube, so you know how I did it and all that.
actually,
Always
you know
happy to
what?
share.
I'm going to introduce you to Katie. Maybe the two of you come on together
I really
and talk
don't
about
want to
it.
meet her. No.
So
I don't have time for other friends. I'm in the sell it mode. I'm in the yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would love to meet Katie. That sounds great.